As everybody knows, I usually do wrestling videos, or I used to, wanted to. But I haven't done one in quite some time, so I figured it's about time I do one. So now I have time. I'm the General Jerry Slaughter, and this is a general topic about wrestling. I have with me the simple man, Noah Foster. How are you doing tonight, Noah?
Doing very well. Good evening, wrestling fans. It's good to see you. It's been a while since we've done something together.
Oh yeah, I think a prediction video a couple months ago, but it's been a bit. So I was sitting here thinking, I need to do a wrestling video. I need to get one out there again. So we're going to choose a wrestler, and I have a couple of questions for Noah that he and I are going to discuss, and we're going to go from there. So first off, the wrestler in question. Mr. Finn Balor.
Ooh.
All right. As we well know, he got himself quite injured in his match with Kyle O'Reilly at the last takeover. So my question is this: is he cursed at this point? Because it seems like anytime he gets a belt on him anymore, he gets injured and either has to relinquish it or he loses time or just loses momentum in general. So that's the first part of my question. Noah, what do you think about that?
He's really had a run of mixed fortunes when it comes to big time championship victories and the runs that follow, becoming the first official Universal Champion, relinquishing it the following night due to injury, even though he popped his shoulder back in place. And then, of course, he wins the NXT title, but he gets his job short. So now he's out of action indefinitely. And now we wonder if he has to relinquish that title. It seemed like the only title he had some decent fortune with was the Intercontinental title. And even then, he had to drop that to Bobby Lashley in a very short run. I don't know what it is about Finn Balor when it comes to his runs. He gets the moments, but he just doesn't get the opportunities to really shine with them. He very well might be, but I also wonder if it's the WWE style, because the WWE style redefines how you wrestle, because we all know how he used to wrestle, or at least I do, in New Japan Pro
Yeah.
Wrestling when he was former IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He didn't held nothing back. In WWE, they tell you, hold stuff back, slow down, soften, keynote your spots. So I think under WWE, he kind of is. And now I wonder if he has to relinquish the NXT title. So yes, I think he is.
Well, that's going to be the next part of my question. Before this whole COVID thing happened, or before it even started, we were hot on a feud between Finn Balor and Walter.
Yes.
And I did end up watching NXT UK this past week, or at least part of it, and got to see the Dragunov Walter match. And that was an extremely stiff and extremely brutal match.
Yeah.
Even more so than the Kyle O'Reilly Finn Balor match. Now, if the trajectory of this feud was correct, and this thing hadn't happened, and Finn Balor versus Walter had happened at Takeover Dublin, there's a good chance Finn Balor could have been walking out as the NXT UK champion. Do we think if this played out, would he have gotten injured in that match because of the brutality of any match with Walter, really? And would he had to relinquish it, be the first person to actually relinquish the NXT UK championship?
It's one of those what ifs that I really wonder, because you look at Walter, you look at Kyle O'Reilly, they are two completely different wrestlers. Walter is the heavyweight, the ring general to wrestle with, and his style is simple: ground and pound or put you to sleep. So I feel like, based on what we've seen Finn Balor go through when it comes to his matches, the friggin' just thrown bomb into the barricade that popped his shoulder out, and then Kyle O'Reilly attacking his midsection, I feel like Walter would just leave Finn Balor redder than a bright red tomato, but I feel like a Walter match Finn Balor would survive to tell the tale, whether he was in victory or in defeat. I feel like with Walter, and considering what sort of styles also worked over in the UK as well, I think Finn Balor actually probably would have been okay, honestly.
Okay. Well, that's just something that was bothering me, and I'm thinking it's like, oh man, I think it would have been all for naught, really, if Finn Balor would have gotten injured in that match. And even then, I think he'd be second guessing even getting back in the ring at this point, because not just Finn Balor anymore. You also got to take into consideration. Let's say Tegan Knox. Anytime she gets on like a good roll with anything, title wise or push wise, she tears another quadricep, and it's almost like the Fates are saying, "Hey, you're done. You need to, maybe just work at the performance center or something." Maybe it's the same way with Finn Balor. He's had so much experience all over this world, all over the globe. He's never truly over with the fans, except for like his most recent run in NXT. But even then, people were on him because, like, they had the Karrion Kross have to relinquish the belt after dropping it to Keith Lee, and now I may have to have Finn Balor relinquish it because he'll probably come back to the ring before he's ready, and somebody else will get injured on him. It's almost like fixing a car. You fix one thing on it, put a brand new part on, and then just the other parts get worn down because of it. So it's just really a horrible time right now, especially since nothing is really live, like NXT wise or like NXT UK wise. So there's plenty of time to edit. There's plenty of time to be really, really safe about things. Yet we still have these injuries just coming out of left field.
Yeah, well, you could say the same about AEW, where they record every other week and the live every other week. And we had the scary spot with the member of the Dark Order, and he was incapacitated and not moving at all, and just still continued the match. And then, of course, most recently, we're supposed to get Abaddon and Ty Conti on TV, but Abaddon got injured. So, yeah, it just seems like right now it seems to be more of a dangerous time than ever to be even wrestling as a wrestler. And Tegan Knox, it just makes me wonder, again, though, the whole WWE style, though, how much does it really affect you going forward? Because, again, you have to redefine your style, redefine everything. I think about the former Hideo Itami and how his run of injuries really ruined his career run at CMW, coming up with all this hype, all this popularity, all this circumstance.
He didn't have a chance in hell once
he didn't. But he left WWE and redefined himself, and now he's pretty much a founded name back in New Japan Pro Wrestling, potentially going to challenge for the United States Championship. And so far during his run at PW, it seems like, yeah, he might be wrestling injured, or maybe you think he's going to be injured. He is still wrestling. So I wonder if it's more a curse of the company than the competitors. I know what they said. This isn't ballet. This is professional wrestling. But WWE is not like all other professional wrestling where these independent wrestlers come from. So it just seems like a run of mixed fortunes for people like Finn Balor, like Tegan Knox. But while it's still a very minimal percent, it's very tough to see that happening to these world-renowned independent wrestlers that might be done before they really get started in what they felt is their dream. While Finn Balor is still going, you got to imagine if he drops the NXT title, what do you do next? Do you now try and really push him over into the UK just to try and set up something with Walter, like you said, that could have been the original plan? And as far as Tegan Knox goes, is there a long-term storyline rivalry going to be built with her and Candice LeRae, which I feel was the initial idea? And will that be supported when she returns? The worst thing that could happen to a wrestler is time off.
Yeah. So I guess it's one of those things where only time will tell. But that was my main concern at this point, is the fact that, like, if this whole COVID thing hadn't happened and we had like as brutal of a match as we saw with Walter and Dragunov, like for Balor and Walter, especially with the way his feud was going with Imperium, it could have gotten really, really gross and really, really like violent, and very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was one of the things. And since not doing a tea party or anything anymore, figured I need to think about this, and I needed another perspective. So I'm glad you were here to join me on it, Noah, and thank you for being the first guest on my first wrestling solo podcast. So,
wrestling in general, I definitely support the idea.
Where else can we find yet? Because this is my favorite part, regardless.
I know, and it's been a long time since I've done this, and it's always a pleasure, Jerry. And I look forward to doing Survivor Series with you, definitely. The battle of the best. NXT still better, but I digress. For life. Anyway, if people want to find me and know more about me, it's as simple as this. I'm just a simple man and a lifelong fan of ... wrestling. So follow me Instagram, Twitter, PlayStation, and YouTube. Look up N Foster 1916, and I now have a Twitch where I do streams on the weekends. Even podcast co-hosting with my boys from Ohio on a podcast we do called The Sauce. You can look up my Twitch at N Foster 191625, and the podcast is called The Sauce Wrestling Show. We just recorded an episode, so feel free to check that out on both Twitch and YouTube. As always, you want to know more about it's simple. Support No DQ. The reason I'm even doing this type of stuff and got into YouTube and met this guy, forever indebted to the No DQ family. My shirt, NoDQ.com/merch. He has a shirt, I have a shirt. Support the Greg Cherry brand because that's where that shirt came from. Support Jim Meacham Network. Support all my friends across No DQ. And join the No DQ Galaxy Predictions League. We'll be picking that up again at Survivor Series. As always, support pro wrestling. That's the Harvard for me as a fan. I feel it should be at the Harvard for everyone else too. And as always, I like to close. Support your wrestling outlets, but big and small. And let's keep growing. This incredible, diverse, unique, elite, authentic, unscripted, unrestricted wrestling community together. Simple as that.
Awesome. And if you want to find me, all you gotta do is go to Twitter at general_JSJ, my Facebook group Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR,
Exclamation point. Don't forget it.
You also can find me on Instagram at the_gentleman_slaughter. And just watch us here on this YouTube channel that I'm going to be uploading this to. And follow Noah, naturally. Like he just said, he's got plenty of different content. And anytime you and Cindy get together, that's just magic. So I'm glad you two actually videos
Yeah,
together.
shout out to Cindy
And
G.
it was a joy kicking guys' asses on Impact. So
I talk to her again about more wrestling as we go into the stratosphere, supported by the Bullet Cast. Check that out too, folks. Hi, Cindy.
all right. So that's the end of this video. You guys have a great evening and keep on watching wrestling because it's fun and shit.
So that. Have a good night, folks.